What up? What up? We're back. Post show episode 137. Man, we had a blast today. As you'll probably see in the show notes, we talk some anime, but a lot of live action stuff and a lot of really cool movies. The Oscar race is like fully on, and I think we both want to watch most of the films this year. So it's been really exciting watching a lot of stuff. We start off with Severance after a 3 year delay between seasons one and two. We spoilers for season two, episode one, obviously, and then we even get into a little bit of theorizing, which is fun. White Lotus season two, I give like a very quick review on that. Sakamoto Days, that's a new anime that's airing on Netflix. That's a couple episodes in. We talk about that. Solo Leveling season two, saving the weekends of everyone who watches it. And then three Oscar flicks this week: A Different Man, Emilia Perez, and A Real Pain. And we have thoughts on all of them. Enjoy the show. Oh, hey there, Grant.
Hey, Dave.
How you doing there, fella?
Good. Good.
This is take two.
Take two.
You gotta break the ice. It's take two. We only got a minute into the last one,
Yeah.
and then there was a fire alarm. But yeah, we're back, and we agreed in our first take we have to start this with Severance.
Mm-hmm.
Season 2, episode 1. It just aired. When did it air? What day?
Friday, but I'm treating it as like a Sunday night show.
Yeah. It feels like a good Sunday night show.
Mm-hmm.
I think one thing that I missed the most about it was how absurd, and I'm not going deep on this, but how insane like the subreddit is for Severance.
It's so funny. There was one point because when we had finished watching it Sunday night, it was like it's just like a natural like a you're just on the subreddit all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my god, I gotta send this to Dave. I'm like, oh shit, like I actually don't know if he's seen it yet. So like, and so then I sent it to Leanna. I think Leanna was like in one thread for probably about 45 minutes. She was just like so sucked in. It was there's some really really good minds out there,
Bro. Some of the theories are so good they make me worry that they figured out the show. Like some of them are so good. Now, granted, like this is also a show, at least so like my it's early, but it does seem like they are intentionally leaving a lot of breadcrumbs. Right. And
sure.
and the nature of the show, like in tech, god, like there's so many parallels, but in tech there's like a term called white box and black box, and you can see through the white box and you can't see through the black box, as in it's like a closed system, right?
Okay.
The user has no understanding of what's happening on the inside. And that is the show, kind of, right? Like the severed people don't really know what they're doing. That's why they're trying to piece together information. So like just by a result of how the show is structured, like one, the characters are also going to be theorizing about what's happening, and then it invites the entire audience to be like, what do you think they're doing in there?
It's so funny. Like it's just one of those shows that like the second something happens on screen, like I'm turning to Leanne and it's like that's like spoiled. Like is that the innie or the outie version of who are like like it's so funny how it's kind of cultivated this like this fan just involvement and engagement, like
Big
from
time.
the second a scene airs, you're and it's not a gripe, but I did find this episode like very fast. I don't know if it was just like the super fast pacing of the opening, which was really cool.
So cool. Beautiful camera work.
Beautiful camera work, but I genuinely felt like it was off like so strong. And as the episode tried to slow down, I kind of felt like I was still hyped up from like that really big opening,
Right, yeah.
and I kind of felt like not like an unease or whatever. It was kind of felt like like I'm still kind of like reeling from that. It was just kind of it was like almost like a dead halt inertia thing, and then you're back to like trying to piece everything together versus trying to keep up with what's going on in the scene. So
It was a jarring experience.
Yeah,
But,
really cool though.
But in a way, it's kind of jarring. I think that sequence, the running sequence, and then the drama that follows,
Sure.
is like they did a really good job in that episode, and let's say the first half of that episode, showing how jarring and confusing like Mark's Innie's consciousness is, because like they did a really good job focusing on like see you later, and then he just teleports back the elevator, the what's that camera technique with the aperture change of the shot.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Like that whole thing, really, really, really cool. How they did that, and also to be, it's tricky because I want to say, oh well, they had to keep the same energy from that same cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Even though it was 3 years ago.
It's crazy to think that it was 3 years ago.
Yeah, but it makes sense, right? Like I actually like that they did it that way, where his consciousness just, because presumably Dylan lets go of the button.
Mm-hmm.
We still haven't seen what happened to Audi Mark,
True.
right?
Yeah.
Or we haven't seen actually anything on the outside as a result of what happened in the finale of season one.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I, we're now in the game, and I was saying this to Sam while we were watching it. Like, because they refuse to show you anything on the outside and any of the characters' outies, as far as we know. Um, like,
Finale wise, you mean? Like we saw some stuff on the outside in the first season.
no. I mean, in the pilot of season two. Sorry.
Oh,
In this first episode, we haven't seen any of the characters' outies, as far as we know, right? So, like, one of the first questions I think people have, and that I have, is like, Milchek tells Mark, "Oh, it's been 5 months," and the problem is we
don't know. We can't. Yeah.
Milchek is the only one disseminating that information currently, and we have no way of determining whether or not he's telling the truth. Is this just like another measure of control?
Mm-hmm.
Has it been a week? Like, it could have been any amount of time. I mean, without it being, crazy and like the characters like noticeably aging or something.
If I had to guess, it was like 5 days of like them trying to get their shit, like Lumos trying to get their stuff together, like leaning into like for like kind of reintegrating everyone or whatever. But we'll know I'm sure at some point. But
At first, I thought they were really trying to throw them off with the whole like, oh, you guys went kind of viral and you were like whistleblowers, and I was like, really? But then it's easy to forget the Heliar thing. That was a very, very public event. Ironically, like, Mark would have accomplished nothing in terms of, I mean, other than telling his family, and we don't know what kind of repercussions there were there.
Sure.
And Bert and Irving.
Irving, yeah.
We just went straight for Bert, so he probably didn't accomplish anything. But yeah, and then they said they removed all the recording equipment from the office. I don't know if you buy that.
There was a couple no, I don't believe that, but they did like a couple really one of the things that stuck out to me is when like Milchik kind of takes Dylan into that back office, and like it just revealed that like, oh, like there's just more layers and rooms upon rooms. And I was like, oh, that's like a very like, let me show you a secret to kind of lure you in kind of thing. Like when again, like there's still like, like the
it's
like
pulling a kid into the back room and being like, I'm gonna tell you something the other kids don't know, but only if you keep it a secret.
Yeah, so
it's a manipulation tactic.
There's also like I'm blanking on the exact moment, but I remember Leanda's being like, oh, like what do you think of that? I'm like, that smells like red herring. Like there were so many moments of like, I think just trying to not trick the fans, but just like keep us discombobulated. Like it's just I think like the show's intention is to keep us off our feet, to constantly be chasing after it. But it's like
I missed it a lot. I missed the soundtrack.
I'm trying. Yeah, the soundtrack is good. I'm just trying to think of like a show that like I get so like I have so much fun with, like in a very serious show, like the like a mystery. Like I'm trying to think. I remember Leanna and I watched The Outsider on HBO a few years ago. It was a Stephen King adaptation. We really liked that. Like a good like pseudo like that was like a murder mystery kind of thing. And this isn't quite fully that, but just like a good mystery, right? Like it feels like I missed out on Lost, and I feel like I'm getting my chance to have a show like Lost.
Yeah, hopefully they stick
fan
the landing
engagement
better than Lost.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
But yes.
Yeah. But
actually,
no, I loved it.
You're right though, because the spirit is quite similar, right? Lost was about landing on an island and having no information, and everything around you is weird and doesn't add up. And yeah, this is definitely similar to that. You make a good point. Can we go to just a little bit of theory crafting? Just a touch.
Absolutely.
I think the theory that has the most smoke, and there's a lot of theories, and I'm not going to go super deep on this. I'm going to stick to what I've actually seen in the show.
Okay.
And not go down the like, if this then that.
Oh, sure. Because
there's a lot, and and that subreddit is awesome. If you're like a big fan of Severance, I recommend you check it out. But the one that I saw back in season 1, and that actually like rang somewhat true for me, and you could argue maybe is it like too obvious? I don't know. But there is one point where they're talking about Kier, like the Kier Egan, the OG, their Jesus, and he said I have the quote here. In my life, I have identified four components, which I call tempers, from which are derived every human soul. and they are woe, frolic, dread, and malice. And the idea, one of the central questions of the show is what is the macro data team actually refining? What do the numbers on the screen mean? Right?
Sure.
There's lots of like fun theories. A lot of them, and I think a lot of them central on creating life.
Sure.
And I think most notably, like they have buckets in them that have the first two letters of the four tempers I just mentioned, right? There's a WO, an FR, a DR,
Okay.
and
Never
an
caught
MA.
that.
So these are like the bucket. So I think the easy theory, when you keep that quote in mind and you look at that, and who knows, is that like they're doing something. They're identifying maybe they're decrypting data that builds these four tempers in a way that will allow them to create souls or remap souls or something something involving life. Maybe
Sure.
maybe like life doesn't equal soul and soul doesn't equal life in this instance. I don't really quite know, but I also have a theory that like, and again, I don't know if this is original or not, but like I think there's something to it that one, if let's like, even though they're severed, they still don't know what they're working on, right?
Yeah.
So like, is the severing procedure like a security thing? My initial thought, my knee-jerk reaction was like, oh, keep them severed so they can't talk about it. But as it turns out, even if they could talk about it, they don't even know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Just like an extra layer, though.
So I think it maybe, but maybe the first layer is like maybe it's something only like a blank slate can do. Like maybe if the Audi sat in front of that screen, maybe they wouldn't be able to decrypt that data the way a like blank consciousness can.
Ooh, that's interesting. I like that.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
In that, because they have no bias now. Like I was going through this. I rewatched all the reactors. Watched season 1.
Yeah.
And one thing that I kind of forgot about is his Mark's dipshit brother-in-law with the self-help book.
Yeah.
And it's awful, right?
Yeah.
But it got in on the inside, and it fucking contaminated their consciousnesses.
Yeah.
Because even though it's a bad book, it's new ideas that like lead to self-actualization, like very basic self-help principles. But they never, ever, ever would have ran into those ideas on the inside.
Basically like the truth Bible.
Yes.
Like, without it. Yeah.
And their innies never would have been exposed to such dangerous thought processes. But they started reading that shit, and what happened, like in short order, they all were like, let's get the fuck out of here. Now, I'm not saying it all comes down to the book.
No, but it's a huge part, right? It's
definitely
it's a huge part.
An accelerant. Anyway, so
I do have to say, like, maybe it was intentional, but I found out of like all last season, because you and I kind of jumped in like probably like at the tail end, or we were halfway through when we kind of jumped on. I can't remember.
Severance? Oh yeah, you're right. We were not like S1E1 people, I don't think.
I feel like we missed like that first wave of like, like the subreddit engagement or like the fan engagement.
Yeah.
But even like, we did catch like, every episode from like the midpoint on. But there was something about this episode that I found like there were so many obvious things that a lot of it, like there was this whole run with people like grabbed onto name tags and like what certain name tags said.
Yeah.
And there was stuff about like, other languages stuff. And I was like, is this probably like the most like obvious hints they've given in an episode so far? Which I think, maybe it's like intentionally kind of like leading people, letting people run wild or like, trying to send them down the wrong path or whatever. But
this is the thing.
Yeah.
That
it's just fun. It's so fun to be like a fan of this show right now.
That note makes me wonder, like that Kier Egan stuff, the four tempers, that is like the basis of my theory, and I'd come up with that on my own. Like I put together some pieces, but like it makes me wonder, like, is that just a giant red herring? Like, is that potentially corporate propaganda, just bullshit they made up at Lumen?
And just like doubling down in it, like the constant imagery of seeing it.
Yeah, we know the Kier stuff is pretty culty, so it makes me think that it's not bullshit. But could those like acronyms, like the short form dialogue, like on their computers, be like just a thing to throw you off the trail? Like, also yes.
Yeah.
And I'll fall on that sword if that's the case. But yeah, anything else really like? Oh,
I do have.
Go ahead.
Sorry, no. Okay, I have one legitimate grade.
Okay.
I was so excited because it opens up with like, stay tuned for a making of like I thought they were like teeing up like, hey, this is how we did this thing. And I was like, oh, I bet you there's gonna be like a really cool shot or something.
Hmm.
And then it opens up to the the like that really cool opener.
I didn't
The
see
you know
this.
the running sequence. Oh, really?
The BTS? I didn't know. No.
Well, there yeah,
I've heard
like,
them talk about it, but I haven't seen it yet.
no, like I hit play on the episode,
Oh.
and there was like it was like almost like a warning screen of like stay tuned after the credits for
Oh.
a making or it specifically kind of referenced like the making
Okay.
of something. And I was like, oh, cool. They're going to like run something down. And there's that really cool opening shot. I was like, oh, I bet you they're going to show you how they did that.
Because that was beautiful.
It was, and then, and I'll come back to that in a second. But like, you finished the episode, we sat through the credits, and it was just the typical, like, the HBO, like, let's spoil the whole fucking season.
No way.
And I was like, I'm watching it, I'm like,
So it's a promo reel, but with a lot of like upcoming.
yeah, and like scene, and it would like it would focus on each cast member, and then it would show them like a scene of them in like the coming season. And I clocked into it after like I saw
A little too long.
John Turturro was on screen. I was like, oh, that's for sure a scene we haven't seen yet. I was
Yeah,
like,
right.
I was like, we gotta turn this off right now. And I was like, I thought they were gonna like say how they did that shot. But
Yeah.
did you see the article about the opening? It took them 5 months to
I
make the opening
did, yeah.
scene.
Because it's funny because it looks like a oneer, but obviously it's not.
No, yeah,
Uh,
they a little bit of CG. They used a treadmill, like really, really cool stuff.
Did okay, my so that sounds very interesting, and I want to watch it.
Yeah,
But my knee jerk from hearing you say that is like, does that sound maybe a little over engineered? Isn't he just running down a hallway? Like, I mean, I guess you need the RoboCam for a lot of the cool like.
I thought maybe they
choreographed-
used a drone. The way they did that thing, there was like
Yeah.
there was one shot in like a like a cross
Yeah.
corridor.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I bet you they used a drone to do that, like a circular shot on
makes
that, like
sense,
really tight corners. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't.
Yeah,
but,
I have a feeling the Tom Cruise running scenes, because they were saying that they looked a lot at Tom Cruise running for like his
Yeah.
form, and I believe that. But I have a feeling they're not shot in multiple sequence across 5 months. Like you see a lot of the BTS from those mission movies.
Yeah.
That's just that motherfucker running down. Like he's just running, right? The power of Scientology, dude.
That's Egan.
He's got that real Egan blood.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise, dude. And one theory, by the way, that we haven't mentioned about Egan is like maybe if you decrypt enough data or something, maybe you can like map it to a soul, and maybe one of the end goals is bringing back the OG, like bringing back Pure Egan, and then and as a result discovering the whole fountain
Yeah.
youth, eternal life thing. I don't know. Shit, there was one other thing. Oh, Keanu Reeves.
Oh yeah, that was
you catch that?
The voiceover.
Yeah, that was great. It feels like Mark and Helly's romance lost a little bit of inertia as a result of finding out that he had a wife, because he mentioned that.
Or because he wasn't talking to the innie, and there wasn't that back and forth. There was a scene.
You're
of him,
referring to the theory that is going
Helly.
around that
Yeah.
Helly's
Yeah.
Audi
Yep.
has infiltrated or that there never was an innie.
Potentially.
Okay, so this is a theory that I do see circling.
I think there was an innie for sure.
Yes.
In season 1, because like I'm split, because I think that was the red herring moment we were talking about. Leanna and I kind of clocked of it was too obvious of a scene of like Helly lying about what she saw.
Yeah, because we haven't mentioned this on the pod yet, but
Yeah.
they're recapping what their innies saw on the outside.
Yeah.
And Helly very clearly lies, and it's tough because Mark says like his painful truth.
Yeah. He clocks in immediately too.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, I don't know. And then there's just like a couple like moments after that of like him kind of communicating with her, and he was still kind of being his self
Yeah.
in his, kind of familiarity with her. And there just felt to be like a little bit of reservation on her part, or like unknowing. So I don't
Sure.
know. It's
So yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was gonna say yeah.
No,
So
that's
the theory is that the Audi has infiltrated, and that's why she seems out of character. I will say the counter to that is the innie is probably having a major identity crisis, realizing that she belongs
Yes.
to the family that put them there.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That'd be a tough one. It's like, hey, what did you see on the outside? And it's like,
Yeah.
I
did this.
my wife is missing, this and that, but also, and then your story is, oh, right, I belong to the family. I'm like royalty on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough one, but I'm not convinced either way.
Yeah, I did love. It was heartbreaking, the scene of like Dylan trying to stop Irvin from going out the door,
That
and
was
just
sad.
like begging him to like stay and all that. I was like, what? Like
The Irving plotline is potentially at times more emotional than like Mark's and Helly's circumstances. Like John Turturro is so amazing, and the scenes he had in throughout season one, but in late season one with Christopher Walken, really, really touching stuff. And the painting stuff that the Audi is doing is so deeply sad. Like, that's a fuck of a storyline.
yeah.
God, we should just do a Severance podcast. Man, I'm really looking forward to continuing to watch that. And then, like I was saying to Sam, like we're gonna get a double header here because about 1 month into Severance, White Lotus season 3 starts.
Oh yeah.
And I think I have to watch that one week to week. We finished season 2. Can I give a quickie review on season 2?
Absolutely, yeah.
I think I'll just say I've got notes on it here. I think that's a rare. So White Lotus season 2. I think it's a rare moment where you have a smash hit drama in season 1 that is like applauded critically everywhere. They win awards. They do a quick follow up with season 2, and it's better. Like that's unbelievable. You and I, we mentioned the True Detective story all the time, right? That guy had like 8 years to write the first season. HBO knocks on the door. They said, "Hey, great job, lightning in a bottle. We knocked it out of the park. You got 8 months. Cough up season 2."
Yeah.
Does his best, gives his best shot, and it's and everyone's pissed off that it's not as good, right? I don't know how they kept the bar that high for season 2. I don't understand how it's as good as it is, but that's like a borderline 10 out of 10 show, dude.
It's so good. And I remember we had talked when you were just starting and you would ask like what my preferred season was, but like they're so same without like being so fresh and so different. And it's not just the setting, like they find a way to find all new subcategories of these people that are in season 1, but like they're same but different. Like it's just at no point did it feel like retreaded ground.
No, similar beats and setup, but completely different circumstance.
Yeah,
characters have completely different arcs. They all have beginning, middle, and ends. I don't understand how you can make a show like that and every character is relatable. Like every character is grounded. You understand why every character makes the decision that they make. Like that's
stupid or not. Like you can see like their choice and their decision is true to who they are as a character. Yeah.
But yeah, dude, that was that blew my mind, and I was like, we finished that, and I was like, that's what like high level drama should look like in like 2024. Like this is what we should be doing. We shouldn't be, you know what I mean, dicking around. I don't know, but that was an unbelievable show. I think, God, yeah, I could go on about every single character ending, but I won't. What I will say is the one that broke me was Aubrey Plaza's character Harper and Ethan. They're like happy ending to their storyline, not being. I think at the end of the day that they're just going to be like that other couple that they despise is so fucked up and so sad. Yeah, and it broke my heart. I was like, they're going to make it work or they're not. You know what I mean? But I didn't want them to make it work like that. It's the definition of like a bittersweet ending in a lot of cases, and the same with the Lucia, the prostitute, her ending, that twist. They fooled me on that one.
Yeah. Yeah, and everyone is just like so good. Like there's no genuinely, I don't think there's a weak link in the first or the second season. Like everyone is just like fully like the role they're playing. They're just fully pitching. Yeah. Like it's
the performance are. You're right. The performances are unbelievable. Every character on that show could get nominated for a lead or a supporting. And like that shit was unbelievable. Yeah. Okay, that was White Lotus. Over to you, my friend. Start us off here.
Sakamoto Days. Check it out.
Yes. So there's just 2 episodes out, right?
Yeah, just the 2. Yeah.
I had myself all confused because I was like, where the hell is this thing? It's being simulcast or no? It's not. Is it just Netflix?
It's just Netflix. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was.
But like, Japan does get they're always going to be an episode ahead. Their first week they got 2. Oh. So like whenever we got 2, they got episode 3. So there is like a lot of it doesn't really matter because Leanne and I have read it, but I was like, oh, like anyone who hasn't watched it, maybe like keep in mind that like that's not the episode thread you're looking at. But
Good point. I
yeah,
didn't know that.
but yeah, man, what'd you think?
So I've had to temper my expectations because like I know this is a big one for Leanna. And I was like, okay, well, they better land the plane here, or they better take off at least successfully.
Yeah.
So the short version is I really like it. I think it's funny. I think it has heart, and it's like a weird. It's not exactly these two things, but it has elements of like Way of the House Husband and Spy Family meets like Mob Psycho almost. It's like got a bunch of like weird.
It did remind me of Mob Psycho a bit, yeah.
It has a bunch of weird pieces, yeah. I like the comedy a lot. I think the comedy is probably like the best part of it, maybe. I like the duo.
Surprisingly brutal, eh?
Yeah, I like that a lot though.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like we're seeing more stuff like that these days, where like anime like tone switches really quickly. Like I think there's like decapitations in the show.
Yeah, the second episode there's a full-on decapitation,
right?
Yeah. And then the dude's like, "Oh, it's still breathing. You're right, it can still breathe."
Yeah, like
yeah,
kind of wild. But I liked that a lot. So yeah, it's early, but I thought it was very strong. The animation quality is good, which is important.
it's okay.
Not great,
That's
but it's good.
It's like I think because I think we watched like Leanna's over the moon, dude. Like she's so happy, and then like
good.
she's happy with it, so I'm happy with it. Like I really like the manga. Like I was super excited for this as well, but she is like hugely anticipating this. Or was hugely anticipating this, and so when we watched that first episode, it was kind of like like looking over, like, hey, are you having fun? You having fun? But she really liked it. So I think we watched them each 3 times. Like we were at her parents' place the other day. She's like, "Why don't we just throw it on? Like let's watch episode 2 again." And Corinne's been watching it with us now. She really likes it. But yeah, I gotta say, I really like it. It's exactly what I pictured.
But
the animation is good when it needs to be.
Yeah.
Like when there's like a little bit of action, specifically in the second episode, like especially that last fight, they definitely dialed it up a little bit. It's nothing crazy. It is a little disheartening to see, like, because this is like one of the like their biggest Shonen Jump's biggest shows or
so
properties.
that I knew is that as a property is quite large, right?
It is a little disheartening to see like all the love that was given to Dan and Chainsaw Man, Jujutsu Kaisen, and like like all these other flagship-esque series, and it's again I understand at the end of the day it's who the production company picks. It's not Shonen Jump's job to do that.
Okay, I was gonna say, as when you say all the love, you're referring to specifically the production quality and
production quality. Like like Dan is like one of the biggest standouts of last year. You could feel the love from Science
Chainsaw Man, you're right. Okay,
and like I know it's the Dr. Stone studio that's doing Sakamoto Days, so like it's and it feels like that, like very kind of at its paces, and it picks up when it needs to. And like I said, it is like the Way of the House Husband. It is in the writing, it is in the comedy, it is in kind of like the slice of life relationships. But it's like it wouldn't be nice, like it was just like there was just like a little that much more. But otherwise, like we're super happy with it.
Good.
It's getting a part 2 in the summer as well. So
what's this first run? 10, 12?
12. They're doing 12 and 12. But so that shows they're someone is behind it. They care about it. It's been doing really well. I've been seeing just about every other day Netflix puts out those like numbers for the weeks and the ratings. And I believe in the anime section it's been number 1 pretty consecutively since it came out. So people are watching it. It's kind of it's one of those shows. It can be like the everyman's anime. Like you don't have to be hyper locked into the scene to like see like like a cool assassin show, but like an overpowered. And also another really cool thing too, and like again I've known this, but like they do like overpowered really well, specifically with Sakamoto too. Like no, like the series itself, Sakamoto Days, but like the characters, they do like a really cool like the power balancing is really cool. Like with Shin and reading, and like the gag of like him getting killed in his mind.
In his mind, that gets a laugh out of me like most of the time.
And it's also too, and it was like it seems so obvious like in manga, but like when you see it in the animation, the way they progress the story of like Shin just like reading people's minds of like what they're picturing, and like we're not hearing the backstory or someone like labor out their backstory, like he's just catching it in someone's mind, and now we know. And then it's like a moment has only happened versus like
It's Spy
why would they,
Family-ish.
like, so it's like, why would they be standing there for 10 minutes talking to Soak? He just caught it in a quick second and they jump into it. But yeah.
I was gonna say something. Shit, I don't know. Oh, I was gonna say, like, we're starting to see some of, like, their relationship develop, like Shin and Sakamoto. Oh no, that's what it is. One thing that feels like an important role in the show is his voice, Sakamoto's voice.
Yeah.
Was Leanna happy with that? Because I have to imagine, like, as a book reader, and knowing that, like, assuming it's similar in the manga, like, knowing that's going to be an important aspect of the character, was she, like, happy with, like, how they're doing it? Because they're making, like, a choice.
Yeah, I should think she liked that. I think she expected, because there's going to be another character coming out soon, kind of like the Dandan thing. Like, they're slowly introducing all the friggin' the misfits that he draws into the store.
Gotta get the cast.
So there's a character coming up of Heisuke. She pictured like a voice reversal of him and Shin.
Oh,
so but I think, like, since we've watched 6 times total across the 2 episodes, I think she's like, it kind of like it fits more now too. And I remember there was a point at first it sounded weird, but in that first episode when Shin goes back and he sits in the car and he's like on the phone and you can feel him his inner dialogue kind of arguing with the mafia boss. I was like, I think this fits perfect. I think this is a good fit. But
nice.
Yeah, no, it's we're over the moon.
Good, I'm glad.
Yeah.
I mean, so I'm enjoying it a lot, and I'm not going to miss an episode.
Mm-hmm.
With that said, do you know what, I mean, you're going to know. This is a stupid question. This is rhetorical. But you know what gets me so hype that I'm, like, pacing in my living room, being like, fuck yeah, afterwards, is what Solo Leveling is currently doing to the weekend.
Dave, I was like...
This show's rad as fuck.
My blood pressure went up so high this last Saturday. I was like, this show rips.
Bro, so we have these moments, you and I, every now and again, where we watch something really heady. Like, we just got done talking about Severance and White Lotus. And it's like, sometimes, though, I just want to see my guy roll heads.
I just want to be a caveman. I just want carnage and fluidity on screen.
Like, I want to see you cut people in half. I want to see you kill a human being and use your necromancy powers to raise his corpse to serve you for all eternity.
When I saw that, the meme of, like, are we the baddies? Have you ever seen that, like, from Peep Show of, like,
are we the
not Peep? Yeah. I just got this, like, really crippling vibe of, like, ooh, maybe this isn't good, like, maybe this is like a mistake on Sung Jin Woo's part, but and like there's just like a lot of foreboding in episode 3 of, like, it's too,
we're going down the rabbit hole, Doc.
It's so good, dude.
I think we're the danger.
yeah.
Sung Jin Woo is the one who knocks.
Yeah, we are the calamity, but no, it was. I love what they did in episode 3. It seems like so.
Episode 3. Because it's confusing for both you and the viewer. Like,
yes,
anime and Crunchyroll, they do this stupid shit where they call it season 2, and then they put it out and they go, oh, like, in my notes, episode 14 and 15. Yeah. So, like, you're talking about episode 15, which is what happens.
It's kind of like he does the whole, hey, like, I'm going camping for a week, and he just he gets lost. But I love what they did of, like, we had everything that took place in season 1. We have an idea of where he gets with his power level and all that. Yep. And kind of, we see where he is. But, like, we don't really know what that stacks up against everything else. Like, we kind of, season 1 ended with, like, him getting the necromancy powers, essentially. Yep. And
Shadow Monarch.
And to have, like, they did it, just the way they displayed of, like, him ripping through the tower of, like, getting 75 floors done.
Yep. And
he's like, I probably can do this. Like, when I come
he's
back.
Out of supplies. That's the only reason he's stopping yet.
I love the way they, like, play with the expectation of, like, how long the journey is going to be and how long, like, what his, and then when he gets another key and it's going to be, like, it's so gamey and, but, like, it kind of fits in, like, a real world scenario still too. Like, it's so funny this is running in tandem with Shangri-La Frontier because, like, it is, like, full-on game. Like, it's all, like, what happens in the game is the game. You shut it off, you go home, or, you go to bed or whatever. This is, like, there is repercussions in, like, every situation, It's dude, it's power fantasy supreme, dude. Like, it's so cool.
You called it, when we, like, last episode of the podcast, we're talking about the season premiere of season 2. and you had mentioned like, oh, I bet we're going to be here for like one more episode. You're talking about the Red Gate, and I was like, at first before you said that, I was like, I don't think so, because I was like, they put the cold environment in the OP. I was like, in my mind, I was like, a lot of shows are going to make this into an arc, right?
Yes.
Like it's going to be an elongated thing, and then like lo and behold, like he just rips through that thing in one episode, and then the next episode is this whole 100 floor dungeon we're talking about, plus introducing his dad. Like
how sick was that?
All that to say, the pace of the show is fucking wild. They get so much done, and every episode has Sakuga, and every episode has action and exposition. Like, I understand why people love it, because shit is just moving, dude. It's just moving.
It's coherent. It's clear. Like it's
no one's confused.
No one is confused. Like again, like I'm not saying it's not a heady show, but it's not a heady show. You know what I mean? Like it's very much wearing it. Everything is on its chest. Like it's all out there. But like they did like just the way they played with expectations, because they set up this, the South Korean hunter who was in America and he came back to kill Sung Jin-woo because his brother was killed. Hwang, yeah, and
Jacked boy.
They've been like setting him up as like this, this killing machine.
Yeah, that aura, right?
And then in a split second, like he's floored out. The building is destroyed, and he's completely crumbled within the building because of Sung Jin Woo's dad. I'm like, now that is how you play with like fan expectation, and getting everyone pumped up, and where's this going to go? But oh yeah, it is literally. I think about it. Like the second it ends, I go to work on Monday and I'm like, I cannot wait till Saturday night.
Yep.
Like that is what I'm doing Saturday night. Everyone's going to bed. I am watching Solo Leveling. I'm trying not to yell. I'm just hanging out downstairs. It's so good, dude.
The fight in episode 2 against the Ice Elves and the Ice Elf boss, but it starts with a B. I forget his name. I saw a lot of the fandom. They were calling him, the Night King from Game of Thrones. But dude, that whole episode was so good. And
also, like the consciousness, like the creatures can speak and like they know not to attack him, like they don't have the urge to kill him, I guess.
Yeah, let's talk. Okay, so let's talk very briefly about a couple little theories here. Because one thing that's interesting and felt notable in that episode was, one, Sung Jin Woo is able to converse with them and regular people can't, but that's probably because of the game, right? But he asks them a pointed question: "Is who are you? What are you doing?" And the Night King guy gets edited. Like you saw that, right? Like
almost like it went back to the beginning of his script.
Yeah. So one, that's interesting. We've always known there's something larger at play, kind of moving the chess pieces across the board. But that felt like a tip of the cap. Like, remember, like the system is clearly doing this shit on purpose, right? We're building towards something, and then 2, in that episode, Sung Jin-woo kills a human, and I think that was the 3rd time. And also, he looked cold as fuck when he did it. Like, he looks so dope. But that was like,
he didn't even do it. He sent Igris after him. Yeah, Igris just whip it around. It's so cool. You got Tank now. You got the bear. We got
bro,
and just the dopey face of that, like the shield guy now too. The guy that he killed. The guy.
Bro, did you notice? This for the video game fans. Did you notice that? So the Iron was the tank guy.
Yes.
Right. And he has an aggro ability. Like he sends out a red bubble, and then it would draw aggro from the boss. The boss's eyes would turn red. And he'd say, like, you die first, and he'd switch targets to the tank. That's some video game shit.
I love it.
Just little details like that are so dope that they add. And then, last thing is, like, the dad thing. So, like, I think we both know this, but we've left it unsaid. Yeah. Is it fair to assume that maybe the dad knows something about what Sung Jin-woo's going through? Like, he may not know that it's his son having these issues, but do you think like the dad's aware of like maybe there's something larger at play, and Sung Jin-woo may end up being the problem?
I don't think he knows that Sung Jin-woo is going to be the problem, or most likely is the problem.
I mean, how could he, right?
I think he just heard Hwang like kind of openly say like, like your son's fucking dead, like because I'm gonna get him. so I think, you know, there's like a protectiveness there, obviously, but the exactly of like what's been going on in their lives, like, you know,
Yeah.
and what is going on with him, I don't think he would have any idea.
I'm referring to what you said earlier, like he warned of an incoming calamity, and he
Yeah.
also said, because Huang said, "Do you know how many powerful hunters there are?" And then Sung Jin Woo's dad said, "They'll be used against us." As
Which
in
made me think of
necromancy.
Shadow. Yeah, made
Yeah.
me think of Shadow Monarch immediately.
So I wonder
Yeah.
what's happening there. But it does feel like we're headed down like a protagonist is going to be the villain.
Aaron Yeager situation.
Yeah, but like, you know, with Aaron, it really hurt, right? In this moment, I don't give a fuck. I just want to watch Sung Jin Woo cut people in half.
You know what else I thought was really funny, because it was bothering me from season 1. The dude the guy that wants to like take over the guild, his father's guild.
Yes.
And you know
Sweet
him and
boy. Oh,
his
he's
sweet
gonna
boy.
die, isn't he?
Yeah,
He's the little
yeah.
brother now. They got the
Now, yeah, he's dead now.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, like, the whole plan of they clear all these dungeons, it's enough for him to write the test, and I was like, how is no one gonna just call out that like someone, like, he just hired someone else to do it for him? Like, it doesn't, you know, it doesn't really prove anything. And like, it's the first thing that's brought up when he has
Dad's
the meeting
like,
with his
clearly.
dad. And it was one of those moments of like, this show surprisingly, like, everyone is kind of smart. You know, like people are responding in a realistic way. Like,
Yeah.
people, you know, 2 people come out of a gate, you know, when 10 people should have come out of a gate. Like, people are gonna be like, oh, like, what happened in there? Like, they're not just kind of like, oh,
It's
whatever.
not-
Like,
Yeah, you're right.
The world weirdly feels like there is consequences, and like people are like connecting the dots, like when it seems like the dots need to be connected. And just that scene with the guy and his dad, but taking over the business and like just bringing up all the stuff up front, I was like, oh, like, this is kind of clear and coherent. Like, this is how things would probably work. I don't know. I just thought it very astute.
No, that is like a really
yeah.
good observation, because you're right. Like, a lot of shows, other than like the protagonist and the main cast, it's like a lot of the characters around them are NPCs. With like they don't have the ability to be like, what?
Huh?
What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
But you're right. It's not something I thought about. But it does make the whole world feel more like connected as a result. Like, you know, like when the Red Gate thing happened, like all these people are like, what the fuck's going on with this Sung Jin Woo guy? Like, the reason people are suspicious of him is because he's suspicious as fuck. So it's like, it's good to see that, like, you're right. Like, you know, he's not just walking among a crowd of lemmings, and it's just like his show.
It is interesting how drastic from the end of season 1 of him being kind of tiptoeing, not trying to let on too much, to now he's just like, you know, like there was that, I think at the end of episode 2 where like the guy tries to stop him, the not Huang, but like one of the other guys from the White Tiger Guild,
Red hair,
and
S rank.
he puts his hand on him and like, you know, like, hey, I got questions for you. And like, and exactly, like, Sung Jin Woo like kind of hits him with like, I don't know, maybe you should be saying thank you to me, like, for start. And there's just the bravado and like the
confidence,
the hubris, you know, kind of emanting off of him. And it's like, whoa, like, this is gonna get you in trouble. But I think that's what you're looking for now. I think he is looking for trouble. But also, like, he already has 2 out of 3 for the Elixir of Life. I was like, that's early in the season. You know?
Yeah, it makes you think, like every time I feel like the show has established a long-term goal of like, here's where we're heading, we get there quite quickly. Like, maybe I don't know about the Elixir, but like we get, like, his progress is rapid. 75 floors in 1 episode.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now that he's like buffed up a little bit, it's like, okay, so next time he goes back, he's shutting that place down. Yeah, I don't know.
And him
again,
getting bored too towards the end. He was getting bored with the bosses of like, you know, he was monologuing on them, like when they were like trying to do their piece, and then he dropped like the skeleton. Yeah, it's just such a fun show. Everyone should be watching this. This is like the show of the season by far.
Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
Anything else? What do you got?
I gotta talk to you about a movie I watched the other night that I have not been able to get out of my head. It's your boy, Sebastian Stan.
Fuck. We watched different Oscar movies, but I'm actually glad to hear this. Okay, you give this, and then I'll do an Oscar movie.
Okay, I watched A Different Man.
Okay, because he's my boy. He's up for 2.
Yeah, he's up for 2.
And he won a Globe for
A Different Man.
For A Different Man, and not The Apprentice.
Yes.
Okay, so tell me about A Different Man.
You know, like it's an A24 movie. Like, it's, you know, it's about he plays a person like with a disfigurement I'm not. They don't really get into like exactly what it is. If it's just like a something at birth, or if it was an accident or whatever. But like he had like his face is very, not Sebastian Stan.
Yeah.
And like it's just he's like an aspiring actor, and like you can see like the insecurities that he has, and like but like it's so hard to explain. I don't really want to explain because I think you have to watch this movie. You're such a big Sebastian Stan fan. This movie just left just like the way they play with like faces, and like like is it really the face, or is it like who you are on the inside, and
Right.
and it's just this story of like imposter syndrome, and feel like like someone's robbing your life. There's just like there's another person at one point in the movie who Dave, I legitimately thought this was CG. This is an actual person with an actual facial disfigurement.
Yes, I knew that they.
I did not know. I thought the whole movie was like, wow, that's really impressive CG, and then
Yeah,
I was like, oh, that's a real person.
They bring in an actor, a real person that has a similar issue, right?
And like I really don't want to get into it because there's just it kind of like spoils like the whole experience. But
okay,
I was blown away. It is not what I thought it was. I thought it was going to be like a full blown body horror, like down and depressing. It's a dark comedy. Like it's weirdly
really?
funny. It's more like just like day to day life. Like there's like there's a pretty significant part of the movie where it's like, oh yeah, like I'm watching The Substance again, and like this is what I expected the whole movie to be. But like they took just a small portion of the movie, dialed it in like really extreme. You saw Nosferatu, dude. You're good. Like you're good to go. So, but I don't know. It just like I know this. Like you should be talking about the movie or whatever. But like I've been thinking about it not since Saturday night, like nonstop. It just completely gripped me. I'm gonna watch it again. I hope he's nominated for the Oscar for this.
Yeah.
I know there's a chance he might not get it. I think it's just from kind of like the polling and all that, what people think. It's probably
Adrian Brody and
even to get nominated,
Chalamet,
I think would be a big deal. But 'cause I
Yeah.
know there's like that last fifth spot that's kind of between him and Daniel Craig. I think is the
Daniel
consensus.
Craig for queer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I was watching this. It was like I could watch this again
Really?
like, immediately. Like it's a
Good,
movie
man.
that like I would like. I enjoyed it so much. I would love to have a copy of it. Like
Damn.
it just left an impression on me. It felt like it was nothing I'd ever watched before.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
It
bold
just
phrase.
felt real. Like it didn't feel like the typical A24 like, oh, it's like, is it all a dream or is it all this? Like
Sure.
like there's some level of like sci-fi to it. But, like it's more just like a storytelling, like just trying to get from like point A to it's just trying to get from the beginning of the story to the middle of the story, and then like it kind of doesn't really appear again. But it's just like he's just such a good actor. I didn't know like I've seen him in things, I've liked him in things. I did not know he was this talented. Like he acting behind like the prosthetics, and then like you see him like later, and you're just like it feels like he's doing 4 performances in the movie, like because you can see
He's
so
my
many
guy, dude. That's what I'm telling you.
man, like lifetime stock after this.
Bro,
Like true lifetime stock.
I posted for the first time to Reddit in like years. I'm one of these people, right? I lurk. I don't really comment or post. But I made my first comment like recently, probably within the last week, and I'm not going to say on what subreddit, but you know what it was about. Is so I could get in a flame war with a bunch of people talking about the Anthony Mackie Captain America movie, and I was like, listen, you fucks, like you guys don't know what you're missing out on. Marvel Studio, fuck this one up.
No, different man. I urge everyone to see it. It left a true impression on me.
Damn. All right.
Yeah.
Different man. Okay.
I think you'll love it. Great soundtrack.
Yeah. Did I send you the link to that Hollywood Reporter roundtable with him?
Probably.
I love those
maybe
videos.
not actually.
I love the director ones the most.
Mm.
The actor ones, because actors in general are a little fucking,
Yeah.
They're a little precious, right? But
Sure.
but there are often 1 or 2 people per episode that you're like, I'd really be interested to hear Denis Villeneuve talk about how he, how he solved these problems. So it's like, but it was cool because it was most of the big hitters from this season lead actors. So it was like Kieran Culkin and Adrian Brody and Daniel Craig and the whole and Sebastian was there for 2 fucking movies, and and the whole table is just asking him, so how did you do that? And it was cool to see Daniel Craig and those guys and Adrian Brody nerding out about Sebastian's performances in these two movies.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really, I was like, yeah, dude, fucking put some respect on my guy's name.
I was blown away. I remember I finished the movie and I immediately thought back to. I remember you told me about that movie Fresh a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I was like, I need to go. I need to watch.
Yo, have you
Fresh
seen
now.
it?
No, I haven't. But like now, it's on my list. Like
Yeah.
I need to get
that.
more Sebastian Stan.
You gotta watch it. It's I think you'll understand when I say it's a really fun movie for a dark.
Yeah.
It's fun. Like I didn't know he had that in him. I didn't know what the movie was. We just hit play. We went in blind. Zero Dark Grant, which I recommend you do for that movie too. So fun.
That was I went blind for this one. Like
I
knew the name. I knew like kind of the conceit of it, but. Like I said, I thought this was gonna be like I thought I was gonna be watching another Substance. Genuinely, I was like, oh, like I'm in for like a really really fucked
is
up
it
ride.
real? You said it's kind of a dark comedy, so like I'm just wondering, like, is it ultra heavy? Like, is it gonna like hurt my heart?
No,
Nice.
Little bit. Like I definitely felt like a
You
little
want
bit
to feel
of
something.
I felt a sadness for the character, truly.
Sure.
But by the ending, I was just like, it felt very
Cool.
complete by the end. Yeah.
I have two Oscar-related movies. Well,
Hit me.
have the noms officially come out? They probably have by now, or did they push it?
No, it got pushed through this Thursday, so the 23rd.
Okay, so but I can do both pretty quickly because I feel strongly about both, but I'm confident I can give you quickie reviews. First, in the order I watched them in, I saw Emilia Perez. Have you seen this?
No, I've been hearing a lot about it though.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. Like, I'm glad to have seen another musical because I don't see a lot, and when I watch them, I'm often like, "This is pretty good," you know. Like, you can really appreciate it, right? I haven't seen Wicked yet. I will be watching it, but I thought that Emilia Perez is Zoe Saldana's movie.
Okay.
And it's wild that she's in the supporting category, or that they're pushing her for that, because she's
I didn't think she was the lead.
She's in 80% of the shots of the film.
Oh, wow.
Her character, though, feels like a passenger in it. Like,
okay.
in that it's not really her story, but she's kind of like the medium because she's like the central character. I think the net of this is that, like, it's a fun musical with cool choreography, as like most musicals tend to be.
Mm-hmm.
Selena Gomez's parts are pretty good, like as far as the singing and dancing stuff goes. Her character, until 20 minutes left, is completely disposable to the story. Like, just doesn't matter whatsoever. The first 80% of this movie, I'm like, did they just get her in this so they could say they had Selena Gomez? And then it felt like they tried to justify it at the end, and it just didn't work for me. I don't know. We watched that movie and we looked at each other afterwards, and we were like, "Yeah, I don't know what all the hype is about. Like, I don't quite get it. I don't know, man.
It's a Netflix one, eh?
Yeah, and it just felt a little thin. It's Zoe's movie. Like it's cool to see her have that range. I was saying to Sam, I was like, this lady is in every major franchise, like there is.
I love Zoe.
And I don't know if she's gunning for an Oscar nom with this one, but like I wouldn't be surprised because she does really good work in it.
From what I've heard, she's like very much on the campaign. So
yeah, I mean, she has a great performance in it, but
Dave, honestly,
the story is thin.
Everything you've said so far, I've heard like 5 different times on 5 different movie podcasts. Like, it's across the board. Like, people, like, there's things that people like, Zoe Saldana being the big one, but thin is like the word, like the most used word I've heard. Like, just like there's not a ton there, and a lot of people don't like the music either. So
yeah, the music is different. But I didn't mind it. I think that being up against Wicked is tough. Like, that's just like bad timing and rough. Okay, so yeah, and for the love of God, it's too long. Everything is too long these days.
How long?
Everything. It's over 2. It's 2:15, 2:20. No. Way too long. 30. You could cut 30 minutes of that movie. Mm-hmm. It's way too long.
A Different Man, hour 45, in and out. It was great.
This is my next movie. I watched A Real Pain, 90 minutes.
I did too.
Let's go, dude.
Yeah.
Let's go.
You like it?
I fucking loved it.
Yeah. It was. I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
Again, like I'm not saying anything super unique here, but it just felt like I was watching Romulus Roy, like Roman Roy, like the whole movie. Which
we gotta talk about that. Yeah.
like I get, but like it feels kind of unfair that he's probably going to win the Oscar for.
You think he
like,
wins?
everyone across the board thinks it's him.
Jeez.
Yeah. I don't know. It feels weird that like he's doing his shtick. It feels like he's redoing something that he did before,
Okay.
and now like movie audiences are kind of gonna give him an award for it. It feels a little weird to me, but
Okay, so I hadn't thought of it that way. That's a really interesting point. So, okay, so hear me out. So,
yeah.
I watched that movie and I was so glad that Jesse Eisenberg directed it. I think that's awesome. And he wrote it. That's awesome. And like the Jewish part, the Jewish themes of the film and the locations they got to film on, which you are normally not allowed to film on. And the use of silence throughout that sequence, and like
when music just cuts as they start going on the tour,
really powerful storytelling. Like that guy has a future as a director, like in the movie or not as an actor. Like I was like really impressed by his ability to direct. I thought like it's like a nice looking movie. It's so bright.
Every time they want to do like scenery shots, I was like, this is true. Like it was so beautiful. I was like,
really nice.
I want to be in that world like right now. Like I want to hop into that painting.
Really intimate storytelling. I'll get to the Kieran part, and I think it's that I intentionally didn't look this up, but I will now that I've seen the movie. I'm curious about like Jesse Eisenberg's like inspiration for the role for the Kieran Culkin character, because on the surface, if you like, other than the exploring our roots and our Jewish heritage part of the film, which is substantial, the rest of the movie feels like dealing with a family member with mental illness, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, man, a lot of this is fucking, I get that, like, and I think there's two elements to this, and you're completely right about one of them. One of them is like, Kieran Culkin does such a good job playing that person, and then simultaneously you're like, is he playing that person at all? Is that just him? And is he kind of just recycling the character a little bit? Because you're right, like we have probably, like, I mean, we just saw 4 seasons of that, right?
Did you to answer, you know, like you wanted to dive in a little more, did you listen to Jesse's interview with Marin?
No, I didn't even know he did that.
That will literally explain this whole movie.
Wow, what a pairing they are. Is it a good interview?
It's incredible. Yeah.
That's like,
he, without like
Marin's
too,
so
like,
good.
The best. Like, again, the Sebastian Stan interview he did was incredible. Like the Jesse Eisenberg one, it like just really kind of like, no one can just casually like, hey, like, so like, why'd you say that? You know, why did you write it that way? You know, like, it's just it feels very like old man. Like I'm just gonna like stumble my way into this.
Yeah, but it works because Merrick is so publicly and fundamentally broken.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And
like,
he's also incredibly thoughtful.
Yes, sorry, I didn't want to like. You're right. I don't want to like detract from like how good he is at the job, but like, it's just like you have someone across the table who isn't pretending they have their shit together. You know what I mean? Like he's just like so open about all this stuff, and like, he's a good interviewer.
To give the Kieran Culkin role and character a little more credence, and I'm not trying to completely undercut it saying he's just doing Roman Roy again, but like after listening to the interview, one of the big points of saying like both of those people are me, Jesse Eisenberg, like both characters are him, and he kind of like it's him split. And after you listen to the interview, like it's just like, oh, like
fuck.
It's a good pairing. Like, you know, I know it seems obvious, like, you know, interviewing
we write
the director
ourselves,
and all that.
though. That's what writers say, right? You write what you know.
Yeah. But I feel like having listened to that interview and that, you know, when it came out, like however many weeks ago, and then finally getting a chance to watch it this weekend, I was like, oh, like I see that. Like I see the pain you had, dude. Yeah, I can feel it. But I did really enjoy it. Like that table scene, like the dinner. The dinner scene, yeah, and, you know,
Eisenberg's monologue,
yeah,
outstanding.
And like, how many times have you been like, you know, like there's like just like, you know, inebriated conversations with like someone you love and you're close to, and it's just like, you know, like they think they can say whatever they want because you're close to your family and all that, and they think like, oh, it'll be okay because we're close, and it's like, but that hurt, you know, like just I think they really nailed like the closeness of like friends and family, and you know how, you know, both can be hurt by each other at the same time. I don't know. It's a very, very thoughtful movie.
That's a really good
Yeah.
observation by you, because I think these conversations that happen throughout the film between Eisenberg and Culkin, that it's exactly what you're describing. It's this intimate but not intimate, not intimacy of like these people can really hurt each other with the weight of their words, but so often I think that dialogue is the hardest to write. Like how are you supposed to write dialogue between people that actually know and care about each other? They kind of have a shorthand, but like make it seem real and grounded, and like not have them monologuing in a way like a Tarantino, you know what I mean, where it just feels like, okay, people don't talk like that, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah, you talk like that, but no one else does.
But it's so it's like how do you get the characters to feel human? And like that show, like we were talking about White Lotus earlier, like everything feels very grounded. Like
oh yeah, the tour guide
low to
was
the
what's it? The
I know it was
yeah, I just
Ethan.
thought of that. Yeah,
and we
that
looked
was
it up.
brutal too. That was so brutal too. When he's just getting cut down in the forest about
The
his
cemetery.
tour, and he's just trying to please, and he's trying to see it from their perspective, and just how hurt he is. I was like, wow, this poor guy.
Yeah. And just about the tour guide / Ethan from White Lotus season 2, we looked it up later. That was his British accent. I didn't even know he had a British accent. So his character in White Lotus, he's doing this amazing American accent that was so confusing the whole time, or not confusing.
The other couple too. Theo James is British, and he plays an American.
Who's
the other? The other couple.
Cam, the other couple.
Yeah.
Because he's a gentleman, right?
Yeah, he's like super posh, like British.
Is he really?
Oh, yeah. I loved his accent in The Gentleman. It was very like,
wow.
Yes, well, I can't even. I'm not even pretend to do it. But
he was astounding in that movie or in that show. He was so good. And we don't like, generally speaking, cover like pop culture stuff. But I will say, we were in the last 2 episodes when we found out about Aubrey Plaza's husband passing away. And she just put in, for me, who as a person who has not seen her entire works, but like that was the best thing I've ever seen her in, and I was like, I can't believe.
Yeah, she was exceptional in that. Yeah,
and that really blows. Man, okay, so we covered some good stuff.
What's your next Oscar movie that you're planning on watching? Maybe we can kind of plan it for the next pod. Because the noms will be out, so we'll know. You and I will be talking this week
maybe
for
we
sure,
talk about that offline, because I'm not sure. Sam is obviously not going to let me escape without watching Wicked. So you have not seen that.
I've seen it. I went to the theater. Yeah.
Okay, so
I enjoyed it.
I want to see. Yeah, I don't want to sound like, I have to watch Wicked, dude. If there is one exception, and you've kind of seen it for us, I don't know anything about Bob Dylan, and I can't handle any more fucking biopics.
I liked it. It's
but you had a whole family connection to it.
Yeah. I
can't name you one song, Grant. I don't know what he looks like. I don't know anything about Bob Dylan.
I think you would like some Bob Dylan, but that's neither here nor there.
No, I bet I would, but it's just like this movie. I'm just not in the rush to see it.
No, and he's probably gonna win too.
Yeah, he seems like the one lock I've heard about. I am.
He's putting the work in, dude. He's putting the work in.
Double header on SNL coming up.
Wild.
He's gonna host and be the musical act.
That's this weekend, eh?
Yeah, it's coming weekend. Yeah.
Okay, I'll check that out.
Do you have anything on your priority list for the next Oscar film? Because we need the grid list.
I had
list, Wicked. Anything else big?
Sing Sing's one that I wanted to see.
I'm interested maybe in Conclave.
Oh, Anora and Conclave.
Oh, we got to see Anora. Yeah.
Sing Sing. Yeah, I think that was
okay.
That's the only other one.
We'll sync up offline and try to target the same ones. We're trying to watch one per weekend, so by next pod, we should have 2 done, 2 more done. All right,
definitely. I'm in a movie mode. We were talking about this the other day. I'm really digging movies right now.
Yeah, me too. A
little bit of anime, watch a movie on the weekend.
Cool. Anything else?
No, I'm good.
Me too. We went the whole pod without plugging the socials. For you Americans, if you still have access to TikTok, you can find us on Part-Time Otaku Podcast on the Talk. If not, Instagram Reels will have to do. Same thing. It's Part-Time Otaku Podcast. We're on YouTube. Subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, which has video. We put the video out on YouTube as well. Apple Music, you can find the audio version, because I haven't set that up yet. I think that's it. We do this bi-weekly. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Grant, go ahead and say the thing.
Bye, guys.